You have too many variations. Anybody? Percent and decimal. What's the main thing you remember to go from percent to decimal or vice versa? You guys remember, like, for example, let's go for that second problem, 42.7%. How do I change that back to a decimal? Which way? Yes, okay. Yeah, so here's the thing. I don't know, we're going to find out. Decimal percent, right? In alphabetical order. If I want to go from decimal to percent, you move it twice that way. If you want to go from percent to decimal, you move it twice back that way. And why is it twice? What does percent mean? 100. Out of 100, correct? I mean, where do we know the word cent from? I love you guys. Don't be a quiet class. Quiet classes drive me crazy. Money. Yeah, how many cents does it make to bake a buck? 100 cents. So cent comes from Latin, from Roman, so that's related to 100. So per cent means per 100. So that's why it's always two places. I like it. And so this percent symbol just means divide by 100. That's why it gets smaller when you make it a decimal. Yes, I like it. Now let's go ahead and finish out that row. How do I go from a decimal to a fraction now? It's not going to be too bad, because decimals are fractions. Is anybody worried about my mental health after I said that? Decimals are fractions. They just are fractions that happen to fit into our base 10. Why is this system base 10? I have no freaking idea. Do you guys understand that if we were born with 12 fingers, or we have a system based on 12 instead of 10? No? Do you guys understand anybody with me at all? Are you guys okay? Am I freaking you out? What's happening? So we have a base 10 number system. Decimals are just the fractions that fit into our base 10 number system. So what are the places then? Like in this number here, right? The 1 is in the hundreds place. The 2 is in the tens. Once every time I take a step, it's divided by 10. So of course, if I keep going, this is the tenths, right? Divide 1 by 10 and I get tenths, hundredths. I can spell. Thousandths. You can sound like you have a lisp. So this is 0.427. What place is it in? Thousandths. So that's 427 thousandths. Right, that's all it is. Like that, we know the 1 means 100. So I know that the 0.427 means 427 thousandths. I don't know if you guys don't remember that, or if you're just being really quiet. I don't know what it is. All right. What about that first row? Does somebody have a nice, quick way to make that? Well, either way works really quickly.
I just multiply them both by 2.
Good. Because that's using what we just said. Decimals are just fractions with bases made out of tens. So you multiply by 2, top and bottom, make it all legal. 6 out of 10, and then what's that as a decimal then?
0.06.
Careful.
I mean 0.6.
0.6, exactly. I like it. Trying to write this down. And then how do I make that into a percent?
Multiply it by 10. Move it over 2 places to the
Two
right.
places, so multiply by 100.
100.
60%. I like it. Okay, so I'm trying to feel you guys out right now. So you gotta let me know if something's like really forgotten. And then I have to figure out if you're just being quiet. Okay. The third row should be relatively easy now, right? It's basically the same as the second row. What is that as a fraction, that decimal, 0.064? 64 over what? 1,000. I love it. Because that's in the tens, hundreds, thousands. How many decimal places are in 0.064? 3. How many zeros are in the fractional answer on the bottom? Holy shit, right? I mean, that's a nice, quick shortcut. All right. And then as a percent, what would it be? Yeah, bam, bam, move it over twice in this direction. Bam, bam, 6.4%. Yes. So of course, on one level, humans made up all the numbers. Right? We made them all up. But the percentages are like doubly made up. Right? A percentage is not a number. It is a way we made it easier to understand smaller numbers. So almost always you want to change a percent to a decimal before you do stuff with it. Okay. What about the fourth row there? 0.03%. Say again. Yeah, but let's take steps down towards that. How do I get to a decimal from there? Move it over twice. Which direction? To the left. So it's going to become 0.0003. Right? I like it. Part of our brain sometimes goes, the poor little thing is already so small, but too bad for it. It's got to get tinier. .0003. And now you've got the shortcut I just told you about. How many zeros are going to be on the answer here at the bottom? 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 3 10,000ths. You all right? What's up?
Right.
Why? What's up?
No, it's right, but it's like, why are we doing that?
Why are we doing which part?
Making it into these little tiny itty fractions.
Oh, so we have.
We can convert it, right? But like we would never do that.
Of course we would.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so for example, in different fields, you have different ways to identify parts. So you ever heard of like 3 parts per million?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, now that's a kind of a lame example, I will tell you. And that's just the lingo that they've chosen for that field. 3 parts per million, that's sort of like environmental, carbon, or whatever, the particulates in the air.
Yeah.
So that's 3 parts per 10,000, right? So, but the idea of a ratio is a solid idea in its own, and certain problems are easier if you write them as a ratio. Certain problems are easier if you write them as a decimal. Certain problems are easier to write them as a percentage. All 3 are available ways to represent the same thing. So I need to know how to convert between the 3 of them. I like it. Huh?
It's so little.
So little? Yeah, well it is. It just is.
Yeah.
And think about the space between the electron and the neutron in an atom. I mean, that's huge compared to that, right? And anybody taking science classes? You guys know about scientific notation, right? Do you guys remember that whole idea? Scientific notation, 5 times 10 to the 48th or something, right? So you want to use scientific notation for like distance between galaxies. If you talk about that in kilometers or miles, like America, the only country on the face of the earth left that doesn't use metric. Yay. All right, sorry. So yeah, that's a good question. I love questions like, why the hell do we do that kind of thing? Which is not what you said, but I appreciate the way you put it. What about this guy? What is that as a percentage? 112. I like it. You just move it over twice. Bang, bang. And then as a fraction, there's a couple different ways you can write this as a fraction. How did somebody do that? Anybody write that as a fraction?
I did 112 over 100.
I kick ass. Because percent means out of 100. So that's direct. 112 out of 100. There's another way to do it though. So from this, I can write 112 over 100. But from this, I can write 1 whole. 0.12 is what? 12 over. What's 0.12? 12 over. What's 0.12? 12 over 100. All right, I gotta get used to you guys. I don't know if it's, partially it's the mask, because I can't see what kind of, like, you can't tell if I'm, like, sticking my tongue out at you or something. But I'm looking at people, and some of you guys look like you already want to hurt me, and I'm like, this is the first day. Because I've already, just, and some of you guys are still looking like that. I know you're trying to make a joke out of this, Jeff, but I want to hurt you. All right. The other way to do this is one whole in 12 hundredths. And of course, it's the same damn thing, right? If you do the mixed number idea, 100 times 1 plus 12 is 112 over 100. Whoop-de-doo. All right, I like it. I like it. And then that last dude. Did anybody do that last dude? That's where you're all like, what the hell does this guy say? Not to use a calculator? What's wrong with this guy? What's 3/4 as a percentage? 75%. So what's 3/8? How's that related to 75? Cut it in half. What's half of 75? 37.5. So, is everybody sorted with me so far? This is not the only way to do this. I'm just giving you the way I would do this. 3/4 is 75%, so 3/8 is 37.5. So 3/16 is half of that.
I got
All right,
0.1875.
I love it. Yeah, this is not the only way to do this. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I need you to understand that throughout this semester, I'm going to give you multiple ways to do some problems. None of those are me saying you must do it this way, right? I love you guys. So some of you guys right now are going, all I did was freaking long divide that thing, right? I love it. Shit, go ahead. That's beautiful. I'm giving you an alternate way to look at it, right? Here we go. I need to hire a camera person. Focus. Okay. 3/4 is 75%. Yes. So what's 1/2 of 3/4? Isn't it going to be 1/2 of 75?
3/8.
Yes, I like
Okay.
it. If 3/4 is 75%, half of that. Let me write like this. Is half of this. Yes, of course. You guys with me? It has to be. If this is this, then half of this is half of that. All right, that's great. So that's, like you said, 3/8 is 37.5%. So what's half of this? 3/16, which is the question. That'll be half of this. And I know some of you guys look at me like, what? But this is 18.75%. Now, is that the same thing you guys got if you do 16 into 3 long division? Or if some of you guys did in your calculator before I caught you? Okay. You guys all right? You guys all right?
Yeah, I divided it by 100. 100 divided by 16.
Okay. And then multiply that by 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you basically did.
Okay, just checking.
Because you're supposed to do 3 divided by 16 and then multiply what you get by 100. And you said, PEMDAS says I can do this shit, or you can do this shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. Kick ass. Okay. All right, let me see. Boop. Focus. All right, so we got 18.75, which makes the decimal 0.1875. Okay. Now again, you're in statistics. Probability is in statistics. It's going to be a freaking ton of percentages and decimals and shit. So you gotta know how to do them pretty quickly, right? Okay. Now obviously, normally you'll have a calculator, but you still have to know how to deal with these things. Number 2 always makes me a little sad. Let's see what happened. Anybody get an answer to number 2? Yes.
Is it 8%?
No. And what you did, and I should have left it in the air and seen it, because nobody's going to tell me they got 8 now. But I appreciate your enthusiasm. You made a very understandable mistake. Could anybody fess up? Honestly, did you get 8? Anybody got 8%? Yes. 8. Okay. So you're all looking at me like, dude. It's not 8% though. How did you get that?
I put 5 over 40 and then
Cause it says there's 5 left-handed people in the
Yes,
class
all
of
right.
40.
So it sounds like you set it up correctly, but then you did 40 divided by 5, right?
I think so, I think, yeah.
Because your brain, see, your brain is like, I want to deal with real shit here, right?
Yeah.
I got 1 banana, I don't care about 1/8 of a banana. So your brain says, 40 can't go into 5? Let's do 5 into 40. There you go, right? You got to say, brain, that's not good. It makes you feel better, but that's not good. What you wrote in the first place is beautiful, right? That's how you make a percentage. It's part divided by whole. We know this. 5 out of 40 is exactly how we say it in English, right? 5 out of 40 are left-handed. That's exactly what we would say. Now make that into a percentage, right? However you can. So you could long divide, right? What I would do, now watch what I would do. Now again, remember, I'm a weird-ass math teacher. So not a lot of people would do what I would do. If only this was a 20, wouldn't that be kick-ass? So what I would do is I'd make this 2.5 out of 20. Does everybody understand that first step? And again, let me just show you the weird way I would do it, and then I'll show you the normal way to do it. Because now what can I do? This is sort of like what somebody told me earlier. I can just multiply top and bottom by 5, because then it's out of 100. Five times 2 is 10, 5 times 0.5 is 2.5, so it's 12.5 out of 100, which is 12.5%. Did anybody get 12.5%? Yes? And of course, if you do 5 divided by 40, that reduces to 1/8, if you want to. In which case, you could do this. Oh man, I don't know how you guys feel about
I
it.
reduced it to 1/8, and somehow I still got the wrong answer, so.
So if you make this
Put
1/8,
something around.
this is 1/2 of 1/4, right?
Yeah.
Isn't 1/4 25%? So what's 1/2 of that? 12.5%. Bam. Bam. Okay, sorry.
It's way less.
I'll stop. I know a lot of what I'm saying is taking calculators to do it all for us, but I still want to try to remind you guys, we're the humans here. We made this shit up. We know how to do this. We're the ones who created this shit. Okay, I'll stop. So now we leave the realm of the concrete, and then we do number 3, where there's no numbers at all. Does anyone think they got number 3 correctly done? Yes? What'd you get?
I still just use like the symbols. I don't know what the
Yeah.
I got like the,
Oh yeah, you don't know. Let me tell you. This is the French cow. This is called mu. Mu. And this little fat R dude is sigma.
Alright, so I got sigma z plus mu equals x.
Beautiful. Kick ass. Sigma z plus mu equals x. So how'd you do that?
So I times the right equation by sigma over 1, and you do it on the same side, on the other side.
I got you.
And then you get sigma z equals x minus mu, and then you just add mu on the right side and then add mu on the left side.
I'm gonna write it like that just because
Yeah.
that's why we'll see it later. That is an actual equation from statistics. We're gonna see this later this semester again. But obviously, what's the worst part of that stupid equation? There's a freaking fraction in there. Shit. It's already bad with letters, and then this jackass put a fraction in there. So the nice thing with an equation is, if there's a part of it I don't like, very often I can kill that part. Don't apply the lessons we learn in here, especially the way I teach it. I teach it a little Game of Thrones-ish, where we just kill things when we don't like them. I don't like that segment now, let me kill it. But then it's alive on the other side. It's okay. And then, of course, I add the mu over. Is that all right? Did anybody else get that answer? Yes? Okay. Yes? Okay. Has anyone gotten to number 4 yet? Anybody try out number 4? No? Do you guys see how it's almost the same idea? What sucks about number 4, even worse than number 3, is the letter that I want to solve for is the one that's down here. So what's a good first step then? Multiply by? It's all right, it's all right. Do you like the n being down here?
No.
No. So over here, did we like the sigma being down there? No. So what did he do? He multiplied by it to kill it. So it's not down there anymore. So let's multiply both sides by square root of it. So it's not down there anymore. So it's not freaking us out. Man, everything's so far away. All right. So if I multiply both sides by square root of n, you guys with me? It cancels on this side, die. Now you've got a few different things you can do in a different order. What would you think is the next step I can take here? There's a few different steps I can take.
I would divide by
Yeah, divide by e, that's what I would do. By the way, real quick, do you notice how what we just did in 2 steps, we took, see how the root n and the e switch places? You guys see that? And that only freaking makes sense. What is 40 divided by 8? 5. Holy shit. So what's 40 divided by 5?
8.
Holy shit. So look what happened. What did the 8 and 5 do? Switch places. So if I divide something by one chunk and it equals the other chunk, it's got to work both ways. Does that? So that's a beautiful thing about algebra. If I have something like this, I could just switch places. Took us 2 steps. I could do it in 1. Bam. And then what's the last thing I've got to do, of course? What do I need to kill that's there?
Square.
Yeah, I need to square it to kill that square root. I like it. Poor little end dude is stuck. Bam. Die. Okay. This is also an actual equation we'll see later this semester. This equation, the beginning is related to, do you guys ever watch any polls? Anybody ever watch? Anybody into politics at all? Or do you see any polls for like, anybody looking at the recall, for example, election, and what percentage you want to recall the governor, what percentage no? Do you guys even know that's happening?
Yeah.
Yes. If you're able to vote, please tell me you know that's happening. And then vote. Yes. Do it, please. However you like to. I'm not telling you how to vote. I just want you to vote. All right, real quick. Normally when you see like a news article about an election or something, they'll say 44% want this, 42% want this, and at the bottom of the screen it says plus or minus 4%. Has anyone ever seen anything like that? I love you guys. You're so understated, even with your nods. All right. Yes, okay, hopefully, maybe. If you haven't, it's okay, because, and I'm a little jealous that you're able to avoid all of that. This relates to that, and we'll see that in chapter 8. I think we get 8. Okay. What about number 5? 5 is pretty straightforward, right? I didn't let you use a calculator because I'm an asshole. You should know that early. Yes?
So I added all of them.
Yes.
Divided by the number and I got
11.8.
11.8. Yes.
Interesting. Did anybody else get something different?
About 7.8.
7.8. That sounds better. Do you see how, just look at the numbers. Do you see how 11.8? None of the numbers are really crazy, right? They're sort of like in line with each other. So 11.8 seems to be a little high because of these lower numbers. It should have dragged the mean, the average down lower, right? So something went a little bit freaky. When you add them all up, what do you get?
39.
39 divided by 5, 7.8. I love it. By the way, how do you divide by 5 real quick?
What do you mean?
You double. So if I had to do 39 divided by 5, I double 39, and then I move the decimal back once. Because if I double the bottom, I'm divided by 10, and then I just move the decimal back once for divided by 10. Okay. I love some of you guys are like, when they like, okay, math boy. Sure. Okay. So this is, when you add them all up, you get 39, divided by 5, however way you want to do it. And my favorite problem, number 6. If your grades on the first 2 tests are 81 and 72, what do you need on the third test to make an 80?
87?
Say again?
87?
I got an 87. Somebody else said 87. 76.5? Interesting.
I got 77.
77.
Same here, I got 77.
77. Neat. Okay. Tell me how you did. let me see, you guys tell me how you did it. Oh, good.
So I added all three numbers and then divided it by 3.
Wait. What three numbers?
81, 72, and 80.
Ah. Can anybody identify the mistake? I don't know if you did the same thing. No. Anybody identify the mistake?
He put 80 is, it's supposed to equal 80.
Yes.
80 is not one of the.
80's not, yeah, exactly, I'm sorry. 80's not one of the tests. 80 is the end result. What is the grade that we know when we first read this? What did they make on the third test?
X.
Good. That's beautiful, right? In algebra, what do you call it when you don't know what it is? X. Why did we do that weird shit? Because then we can do stuff with it. I can't do stuff with empty space, but if I call it X, I can then pretend like I can do some shit. So let's see. If I call the third test X, now I know exactly how to find the average. How do I find the average of 3 test grades?
I did 81 plus 72 plus X over 3 equals 80.
Yes, right? If I add them all up, divide by 3, that equals the average. And then you do, what's the next step to try to
80
solve?
times 3.
80 times 3. So now I get 81 plus 50, 72 is 153, right? Okay.
Subtract it.
Now be careful. What is 240 minus 153?
77.
No, 80.
Oh, okay.
Now, is that the only way to do this? Some of you guys just met me today, and you're already thinking, man, why did I pick this guy? But you just met me today. You don't know anything about me, but you should have picked up by now that I have other ways to do every problem. My favorite way, let me see if you guys like this. To do this problem, how far away from 80 is 81? 1 up, right? How far away from 80 is 72? 8 down. Overall, I'm down 7, yes? So then my third test better be up 7 to make up for that. 87. Done. No? Yes? Maybe? No? I love you guys.
It's
Does
less
it-
work than the other one.
True.
I
It's
don't
less
think I
work.
can do that
No?
without
Does it work for Outlook?
Any problem like this, where you have so many that you know, and you don't know one, but you know what the average is supposed to be. So it's a very, you see, any trick that you've ever been shown by a math person only works in certain situations. You have to know why the trick works. So why does this trick work? It's not even a trick. It's just understanding averages. If I tell you 3 numbers average to be 80, what's the easiest way for that to happen?
If they're all 80.
If they're all freaking 80, right? What if this was 79? What would this last one have to become?
81.
Do you understand how I don't have to say any more? That explains why the way I did it works. If any are up, the other ones have to be down the same amount. So all I did was say, how much overall am I up or down? And the last one's got to make up for that. Maybe? You guys with me? Okay, all right. Okay. All right, so we kill this warm-up sheet. You're gonna die. Okay. So what's going to happen now is, well, actually, let me do this. I'm a little off my game because I haven't been in a classroom in a long time, so this is still kind of weird for me, and I'm sure it's weird for you too. So that's the last I'll talk about that. Let me ask you something about statistics in general. Have you guys heard anything about statistics? Have you heard anything to expect, or
I heard they suck.
they suck?
I took it in high school, which was like 5 years ago, and I did great.
Okay.
But I don't remember anything
Oh,
about it now.
all right.
So
Maybe it'll come back. It's sort of like riding a bike.
I don't know. I had a massive connection, so I don't know if I remember anything. But yeah,
Okay, we'll see if anything comes back, or if it doesn't come back, we'll just relearn it.
I mean, I assume that I can do it if I do it.
Yes. Has anyone heard something like there's a lot of word problems in statistics? Anyone? Okay. Let me just tell you right now, there's 0 word problems in stats. What is a word problem? All right, I love you guys. You're all like, he's going to play semantics now. A word problem is where you have to create your own equation. Think about it. Let me give you a classic example. There's a train that leaves Wyoming going east at 80 mile an hour, and another train leaving going in. Don't you have to set up everything and make your equation? Yes? That is the worst part of a word problem. And trust me, I'm a math guy. I love word problems. But the worst part for a student is having to create your own equation. That will never happen. We're going to go through where equations come from. We will create them together, and once we have them, they work, period. So what are we going to do? We're going to have problems that have a lot of words in them, but you have to just be able to pick out this number, which equation works in this situation, and where do the numbers go. There's also a lot of Greek letters. So I got to remember, I'm just remembering a handout that I gave my students of the Greek alphabet, right? So I'm going to give you the Greek alphabet. I don't think I have it up in Canvas yet. And you don't have to memorize it. I just want to give it to you so you can kind of reference it, because we already saw a few. Mu and sigma, right? And there will be some more. So that's another thing that gets students down, is a lot of the variables are Greek letters. You got to remember what they mean. You got to remember what the formulas mean. I'm going to let you have a formula sheet for the tests and the quizzes. Yes. You're not going to be able to label them. So I'm not going to make you memorize them. I'm going to make you recognize them. So you can have a sheet of formulas. You guys with me? Anything else you're concerned about this semester besides word problems and how weird I am, or anything else? You're not concerned about anything? I love it.
Do we get calculators on the test?
Yes. Nothing? You're all okay. I love it. Sweet.
So I actually do have a question.
Yes.
So we get the homework from the online textbook and then write it down on our own notebook paper and then turn it into you.
Yes.
Deal.
That sounds so like 3 years ago, but even when I was teaching online, I made my students do it on paper and scan it and turn it in.
Yeah, I have one of
Because
my classes. do
it's
that.
all about writing, kinetic experience, gets it in your brain better. I don't like online homework programs. If you do, I'm sorry, too bad. I don't use them. I'm much more old school, right? No pen unless it's really erasable. Yes. All right. So, any other comments?
And then you never told us where the questions 1 through 5 were. They're in the practice.
Yeah, if you just click that practice part, it starts at 1 through
Perfect.
5. Yeah. And again, if you get the hard copy or if you do the PDF, same idea. You go to the practice section, right? Okay. Hopefully everybody's hearing me now, so I'm not gonna have somebody in the third week say, "I can't find chapter 1 homework." Oh shit. All right. Love it. Okay. So we're gonna do a little bit of definitions from chapter 1, and then we'll call it a day. Let me see. Boop. I gotta get used to this now. I used to just be able to let Zoom record all my stuff for me, but I'm okay without Zoom. Could somebody turn up the lights again in the back? There. Thank you. No, turn them up. Yeah. Make them all go the same way.
They are.
Oh, they are? Make them go the other way. There we go. Okay. Sorry, yeah, these guys are like spot. They just let the sun in. Okay. What I try to do with chapter 1, since it is a bit of a grind, it's all definitions, right? I try to kind of tell it through a story, like not a story. I'm not going to sit here and spin a yarn for you. But can you guys tell me, for example, is there anything you would be interested in knowing? Like, here's a lame example: the percentage of gross month students that eat broccoli, right? I'm pretty sure nobody's really interested. You didn't come into this room thinking, if I just knew what percentage of students here eat broccoli. Okay. Is there something like that that you would kind of like to know? Anybody? Like the average age, the percentage of gross month students
Let's go
that...
average age.
Average age, okay. All right. So we're curious about what is the average age. By the way, this is how bad I write. that's a good one. I can still smell that through my mask. All right, sorry, get a little high. So that's kind of like what we're interested in. How would we go about, if it's us and we can't, and administration says we're not going to help you, too bad. Do you want to go around and talk to every gross one student?
No.
No. They don't want you to talk to them either. So what's another way we could try to do this? What would we try to do to make our job a little bit easier? What do we always do in statistics? Do you guys?
Get a sample.
Get a sample. Get a sample. Right? So we got the first two ideas. The second thing is sample. And of course, where do we pick a sample from?
A smaller growth of the population.
Population. I like it. So in general, I'm sorry, not specifically, but in general. So a sample is a subset of a population. And you guys came in knowing this. I know you know this. I just realized that's among us on your list. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. It was probably. Okay. So that's population. Sample. I like it. So population is a collection of all items or people we wish to describe. It's a collection of all items or people we wish to describe. Right? So in this specific instance, can somebody tell me what the population is for this instance, for this situation? Be more specific? Or strangely enough, less specific. Let me ask you this. If I said dogs are next door, can you envision that? There's dogs next door. And then in the classroom over, there's dogs. Can you guys see that in your head?
Yeah.
All right, now let me say this. All dogs are next door. All dogs are next door. What are you concerned about? It's a small room with the shit that they do to these poor dogs. You guys with me? So if I say my population is Grossmont students, that's not identifying it correctly. Because what do you mean, a few? No, you mean all. Good. So when you have a population question, make sure you say something like all or every, right? All Grossmont students. Cool. Let me turn this poor dude off. Do it. Sample, of course, is a subset of the population. Right, is that a cool word to use, subset? I think I'm writing a little small, I'm sorry. I'll try to just write bigger now. I'm in these giant rooms, and that's the only kind of room we can be in, to be honest, to make it worth anybody's time. Now, we haven't, I definitely didn't give us enough information to know what the sample is, so give me a possible sample, somebody. Yes?
Class?
Okay, so this could be a sample, right? You guys could be a sample. Why would this be a bad sample? Why would you guys be a bad, you would be, you are a bad sample. You're not bad people that I know of yet, but you would be a bad sample. Why?
Because it's just one class out of many.
One class out of many. What's wrong with that?
We don't know how many classrooms exactly, right?
Good, I like it, and I'm including Zoom classes too, obviously, right? All classes in any modality, just to use any word. What's wrong with you guys as a sample? Yes?
It could be biased.
Biased? What would cause this to possibly be biased? What does that mean, biased? Does that mean you guys hold weird views?
No, I just think it's generally a younger class.
Ah, why would you think this might be a younger class?
Because statistics, like she said, she took it in high school.
Yes.
So it's
I took
usually.
very advanced school physics.
Oh, watch out.
Statistics.
Watch
I
out.
just happen to have forgotten every single piece.
No, this,
No, don't
she's
worry.
a smart cookie, I'll tell you.
Yes.
She's gonna be a good one.
But in general, her point's good. It's an intro level course,
Yeah.
right? It's not like a 200 level course. It's not really a course you would take at the end of your associates necessarily. It could be mostly an intro level course for most students. Think about, well, I was going to say something about the pandemic, but I said all classes, not just on campus. But you guys are an on-campus course. So let me ask you this. There's something I never have figured out how to push you towards. But what should happen if I want my sample? The thing I want my sample to do is to represent my population, right? The more it represents my population, the more I trust what I get from it. Does that make sense? We all know this is true. If you have a sample that doesn't represent your population, you got to throw that shit out, right? So, how do I try to make it so that my sample has a better chance of doing that? Why would you guys, me picking one class on campus, not achieve that? Yes?
Because it wouldn't be accurate,
Why?
because there's many other students, other classes, you have to take the whole population into consideration.
But it sounds like you're saying I've got to pick the whole population. But if I just picked a better sample, even the same size sample, it would be better, but I have to do it a different way. No? Somebody say this. You ready? Sure. Say.
You could pick them from different classes.
I like it. So we can pick them from different classes. So here's the problem with you guys. Can everybody be on campus right now? Does everybody need to take statistics? Would everybody be able to take a class at this time? No. Would everybody take a class with me? Maybe they've had me before and they're like, never again. Right? So you guys are like, all right. So does that make sense? That would exclude people automatically. If I just pick a course on campus that will be biased, not because you're bad people, not because you have weird opinions, but because there are certain things that brought you here that could sway the age. They could sway younger because of some of these things. Yes? And like I said, it's probably older people that don't want to be on campus right now. And that only makes sense. Yes? That's why a lot of my colleagues are not on campus. Okay. So one class on campus, us, we're not good. We suck. So you had a different idea. Maybe take,
Like, say 30, so I don't know, take like 2 from 4 and 5.
I love it. So I'm going to expand on what you just said. If we took like 4 people from every class, would that alleviate some of the problems? Would that be harder to do? Yes. So that's why this is funny. We would be considered what's called a convenience sample. Because damn, we are convenient. We are here, we are interested in this, and if we take us as a sample, that was easy. So normally it's going to take some work to try to make a representative sample, right? Which makes sense that a lot of the crappy ones are convenience samples. You didn't even try to make it representative. I like it. So let's do that. Let's say that we take 4 people from every class, randomly. Good Lord, Jeff. Can't write, let's see if you can spell. Okay. 4 people from every class. Later we're going to talk about specifically what kind of sampling that is. That is a specific name for that kind of sampling. Keep an eye on me for the time. Whoa, what time is it? 4, okay. Once we have a sample, what are we going to immediately do with a sample? Once we get a sample, we got our 4 people from every class. We got
Find the
them in a room.
average.
Say again?
Find the average.
Before that. We don't even have anything to find an average of yet.
Adam, no.
We've got all the people in a room. What do we immediately do with them?
Count the number of people that are in the room?
Sure, I like it.
Give
Yes?
us a hint.
Yes.
Ask their age.
Yes, ask their age. Yeah, if we're trying to find the average age, we got to know what the hell their ages are, right? We need a list of ages. List of age. Oh, sorry. So the third thing's kind of related to that is the variable. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? I mean, variable, right? In algebra, that's the thing that can have multiple values. Can't a question have multiple answers, of course, right? If I ask everybody their age, aren't there going to be very many different numbers? There might be some repeats, of course, right? You don't suddenly disappear if you walk into a room and somebody's already your age. That would be neat. All right, okay. So the variable is related to the question asked. So what specifically would the question be that we would ask?
What's the
No. What we ask each person.
How old are you?
Yes, we ask how old are you, their age. So the variable would be a student's age. I'm pretty sure you guys have all picked up on my attempted color scheme here, right? Black is a definition, blue is the specific for the situation. Okay. Everybody with me so far? These are all words we know. Variable's a word we know. It's got a slightly different meaning in statistics, but not really. Because a variable has multiple values. A question has multiple answers. What do we call the set of answers? You know this also. If I get a bunch of ages, what do we call that?
Data?
Data. Kick ass. Data. A list of answers. Question we ask, and then the data is the answers we get. So in this case, if I had to give some examples, anybody willing to tell me how old you are? 19, I heard? 18? 21?
19.
19? 48? 20? All right, that's enough. And then everybody else.
Before you hit?
Yes, I'm
I
48.
guess 47.
Oh, thanks. It makes you feel so good. I look close to what I am. It's fantastic. It's good news. All right. 1 year younger, I look. Yay. All right. Is everybody with me so far? So these are words we know. You know the word data. The group we want to say something about, there's too freaking many of them. So we take a smaller group that we're going to analyze. Ask them a question that's called a variable. Notice I didn't write the variable as a question. We're not on Jeopardy, so you don't have to do that. Right? I don't even know. I don't know who the host is. And then the data is a list of the answers. We kind of know that already. And then here's the final thing. 5, 6. I'm going to talk about 6 first. What would be the next thing we do if we got the data? Now we would do what? Add them all up and divide by them. Then we get a number. Right? That would be called the, get this, that would be called the statistic. NIDA, right? So that would be called the statistic. What does that describe, by the way? What were these? Where did these come from? These ages came from what group? Sample. So a statistic describes a sample. You gotta love that shit. It's a numerical. Really, Jeff? I'm Georgian boy. I'm a Georgia boy. That came out. It's a numerical description of a sample. So the other one should be a numerical description of a population. So you would hope that it would start with the letter P, and it does. What? Math people doing something good?
Percentage?
No.
Okay, just checking.
I'm with parameter. It started with the right
Just throwing it out there.
Sorry. The word started that same way and then it took a turn. Parameter.
But you got quiet and I thought I had it right. Okay.
That's all right. It could be a percentage. So since you said that, this is nice. Parameter and statistic could both be a percentage or, in this case, an average, right? You like it? So parameter would be a numerical description of a population. Good Lord, Jeff.